Very interesting development as the Giants signed Tyrod Taylor to a 2-year deal worth $17 million and 8.5 guaranteed. That, first off, definitely a big Tyrod Taylor fan. Stylistically, he makes sense as Daniel Jones' backup. And I say the word backup very, very loosely because we don't know. I mean, I think Daniel Jones is, of course, right now the presumed starter. But Tyrod Taylor has put up a really nice career, lately more as a journeyman. There is a connection with the Buffalo Bills. Joe Schoen, his first year in Buffalo in 2017 was Tyrod Taylor's last year in Buffalo. And he led the Bills to the playoffs that year, where they lost to, I believe, the Jacksonville Jaguars. But Tyrod Taylor, this was more money than I had expected for a backup quarterback. With that in mind, obviously, this past season was a disaster with Mike Glennon, Jake Fromm. The Giants really have not had a good backup. I mean, in the Eli years, it was never really necessary. He never got hurt, but there were really never very good backups during that era. I guess David Carr was decent, but it really didn't matter. And with Daniel Jones, of course, there was Eli Manning's last year was Daniel Jones' first year. And then you had Colt McCoy as Daniel Jones' backup. And McCoy did what he could. He did play pretty well for the Arizona Cardinals this past season and actually re-signed with them to be Kyler Murray's backup. So McCoy was all right. But I think Tyrod Taylor is definitely a step up. And so that in itself you like. But I also think that for a team that is cap-strapped, it's surprising. Maybe it says a lot about Daniel Jones. To me, there's a lot to speculate here. We don't really know the thought process. But again, Shane knows Taylor well from his time in Buffalo. Tyrod Taylor was drafted by the Baltimore Ravens and was with them for 4 years. He backed up Joe Flacco. Taylor did win a Super Bowl, of course, really not having much of a role. Although did get involved in the run game a little bit, was a good college quarterback with Virginia Tech. And then with Buffalo, was the starter for all 3 years, was the starter. Started 14 games, 15 games, and 14, respectively, through 2015, 16, and 17. And really, he's a guy, his touchdown interception ratios in those years were pretty good. 20 and 6, 17 and 6, and 14 and 4. So not really a high-risk quarterback, very mobile. And I think I wanted the Giants to get a backup quarterback that was mobile. And so this is good. And if Daniel Jones gets hurt, which we've seen happen quite a bit, Tyrod Taylor can come in there and you don't really have to change the offense a whole lot. Whereas like when Mike Glennon came in, even if he was good, his skill set was completely different than Daniel Jones. But I just think that this is an interesting conversation now as far as what is the front office's thoughts on Daniel Jones. Maybe it's nothing. Maybe they said, look, we want to make sure that we get a backup quarterback, even if it means spending, I think, more than you'd like for a backup, while also acknowledging that the quarterback is the most important position. What I also find interesting, I want to see the structure of the deal. That could maybe provide answers as well, because in a nutshell, it looks like a decent chunk of money. But I think what is interesting is it's a 2-year deal. So I could see a situation where next year and now Ian Rappaport is saying it's a 2-year deal worth $11 million, $5.5 million per year, and there are incentives he'd have to hit to bring it to $17 million. So that makes a little bit more sense. And I still want to wait and see what the structure is. So not quite as bad as originally thought. That makes a lot more sense, quite honestly. So still, I still hold the same belief that it's a little bit more than you'd like. But here's the good thing, is that Tyrod Taylor, he, in all likelihood, will be a Giant in 2023. Things can change, and Daniel Jones might not be. So what I could see playing out is Tyrod Taylor being sort of competition with maybe a new rookie QB. And it's a matter of, all right, Tyrod Taylor, we've seen this from him. So, after his time in Buffalo, they go to Josh Allen, he's gone. And so it becomes Tyrod Taylor in Cleveland before Baker Mayfield takes over, right? So you have that. Then Tyrod Taylor was a backup to Phillip Rivers. And then once Rivers was gone, he backed up Justin Herbert. And there was that whole situation where, Tyrod Taylor gets hurt in a freak way with one of the Chargers trainers. And so he was out for the season. Or either he was out for the season or Justin Herbert just took the job and ran with it. And then in Houston this past year, he started the season as the quarterback, played pretty well, but Davis Mills, they drafted Davis Mills, younger, team that was going nowhere. Taylor did get hurt as well. And so he suffered a hamstring injury. And kind of from there, Davis Mills just took over as the starter. But Tyrod Taylor, he finds ways to win football games. So this is definitely someone who has a lot of experience, could be a starter. He's a fringe guy. Like, he has been in situations where he has started. He did start after Buffalo, he was the legitimate starter, started 3 games until Baker Mayfield came in to play. He started, I think he would have been involved more in the Justin Herbert situation, although Herbert was incredible right away, so it didn't matter. And then he did start 6 games for the Houston Texans. So this is a guy that, really, he's 32 and he's been around for a while. And I think this recent, sort of development with the contract being what it is makes a little bit more sense. But with that being said, I don't know. Tyrod Taylor, anytime that Daniel Jones makes a mistake, we're going to be questioning, all right, is Tyrod Taylor going to come in? Not that Tyrod is going to be the future, but Daniel Jones, him being the future, like that, they may make this, the conclusion, look, Daniel Jones, is not it. To the point where Tyrod Taylor's under contract next season, Daniel Jones very well might not be. So you could see a transition from Jones to Taylor, even on a team that is not competing. Don't be surprised if we see him as a starting quarterback. Jones gets hurt a lot. I think unless something crazy happens, your week 1 starter is Daniel Jones. Unless Jones gets hurt, even if somehow in preseason Tyrod Taylor, we know what he is, Tyrod. It doesn't really matter necessarily how these QBs, if they even play that much, do in preseason. So Jones will be the starter week 1. But from there, I don't know. If Jones struggles, Tyrod could get the call pretty quickly. So again, thought this was, a really interesting move. 2-year contract worth $11.5 million, and with incentives, it could move up to $17 million. So Tyrod Taylor is now a New York Giant.